Encik Azlan here.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Heading to Caring Pharmacy, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Wow, balik from hospital, straight to pharmacy ah. Why ah? Here got no medicine ah.
I'm just here to see the doctor actually to get my prescription. It's more convenient for me to get my medicine from Caring.
Hey, but why more convenient? You have to go to two places, right? If it's me, I think I forgot to take my medicine already.
Oh, I use my health record in the Caring app. Everything is at my fingertips.
Wow, got such a one ah. What does it do? Can you share with me more?
Oh, it's quite easy actually. Now, let me explain. My health record is an electronic record system that helps me record all my medical data, including the medication I'm taking. It helps me better manage my health because it allows the pharmacist to consistently review my medication. The doctor can also better understand my condition by looking at my health record. For example, they can check my blood pressure and blood glucose readings. So convenient, right? Saves the doctor time on looking for fast too. Also, my health record helps to streamline my medical care between all parties. Don't worry, it is very safe and secure to keep all our medical data private and confidential. So many features, right? Hey, stop. We're here already.
Oh, let me find parking. I'll join you inside.
Ah, okay. Sure. Manage your health better with my health record. Like me. Sign up at your nearest Caring today.
Encik Amar here.
Yeah, hi.
Wow, so many medicine ah.
Yeah, need to stock up.
Huh? Then you should know about carrying my health record app. Come, I tell you. Encik Azlan here.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Heading to Caring Pharmacy, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Wow, balik from hospital, straight to pharmacy ah. Why ah? Here got no medicine ah.
I'm just here to see the doctor actually to get my prescription. It's more convenient for me to get my medicine from Caring.
Hey, but why more convenient? You have to go to two places, right? If it's me, I think I forgot to take my medicine already.
Oh, I use my health record in the Caring app. Everything is at my fingertips.
Wow, got such a one ah. What does it do? Can you share with me more?
Oh, it's quite easy actually. Now, let me explain. My health record is an electronic record system that helps me record all my medical data, including the medication I'm taking. It helps me better manage my health because it allows the pharmacist to consistently review my medication. The doctor can also better understand my condition by looking at my health record. For example, they can check my blood pressure and blood glucose readings. So convenient, right? Saves the doctor time on looking for fast too. Also, my health record helps to streamline my medical care between all parties. Don't worry, it is very safe and secure to keep all our medical data private and confidential. So many features, right? Hey, stop. We're here already.
Oh, let me find parking. I'll join you inside.
Ah, okay. Sure. Manage your health better with my health record. Like me. Sign up at your nearest Caring today.
Encik Amar here.
Yeah, hi.
Wow, so many medicine ah.
Yeah, need to stock up.
Huh? Then you should know about carrying my health record app. Come, I tell you. Encik Azlan here.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Heading to Caring Pharmacy, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Wow, balik from hospital, straight to pharmacy ah. Why ah? Here got no medicine ah.
I'm just here to see the doctor actually to get my prescription. It's more convenient for me to get my medicine from Caring.
Hey, but why more convenient? You have to go to two places, right? If it's me, I think I forgot to take my medicine already.
Oh, I use my health record in the Caring app. Everything is at my fingertips.
Wow, got such a one ah. What does it do? Can you share with me more?
Oh, it's quite easy actually. Now, let me explain. My health record is an electronic record system that helps me record all my medical data, including the medication I'm taking. It helps me better manage my health because it allows the pharmacist to consistently review my medication. The doctor can also better understand my condition by looking at my health record. For example, they can check my blood pressure and blood glucose readings. So convenient, right? Saves the doctor time on looking for fast too. Also, my health record helps to streamline my medical care between all parties. Don't worry, it is very safe and secure to keep all our medical data private and confidential.
So many features, right? Hey, stop. We're here already.
Oh, let me find parking. I'll join you inside.
Ah, okay. Sure.
Manage your health better with my health record. Like me. Sign up at your nearest caring today.
Encik Amar, yeah?
Ya, hai.
Wow, so many medicine ah.
Ya, need to stock up.
Huh? Then you should know about carrying my health record app. Come, I tell you. Encik Azlan here,
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
heading to Caring Pharmacy, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Wow, balik from hospital, straight to pharmacy ah. Why ah? Here got no medicine ah.
I'm just here to see the doctor actually to get my prescription. It's more convenient for me to get my medicine from Caring.
Hey, but why more convenient? You have to go to two places, right? If it's me, I think I forgot to take my medicine already.
Oh, I use my health record in the Caring app. Everything is at my fingertips.
Wow, got such a one ah. What does it do? Can you share with me more?
Oh, it's quite easy actually. Now, let me explain.
My health record is an electronic record system that helps me record all my medical data, including the medication I'm taking. It helps me better manage my health because it allows the pharmacist to consistently review my medication. The doctor can also better understand my condition by looking at my health record. For example, they can check my blood pressure and blood glucose readings. So convenient, right? Saves the doctor time on looking for fast too. Also, my health record helps to streamline my medical care between all parties. Don't worry, it is very safe and secure to keep all our medical data private and confidential.
So many features, right? Hey, stop. We're here already.
Oh, let me find parking. I'll join you inside.
Ah, okay. Sure.
Manage your health better with my health record. Like me. Sign up at your nearest caring today.
Encik Amar, yeah?
Ya, hai.
Wow, so many medicine ah.
Ya, need to stock up.
Huh? Then you should know about carrying my health record app. Come, I tell you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in into our live stream session today. My name is Shantini, and I am a caring pharmacist. We have received many positive response from our campaign last month, Jom Kurang Manis, and that's why we are back again with another interesting topic today, which is also quite common among Malaysians, prediabetes. So, before we start our topic today, can you guess what is the diabetic rate in Malaysia that is faced among us? Comment your answers below and let's see if you get them right. And while waiting for your answers, allow me to introduce our guest speaker who is highly knowledgeable in the topic of diabetes. He is a consultant endocrinologist at Sunway Medical Centre. So if you have any questions or concerns about diabetes, shoot your questions down below and we will get our expert to answer them for you. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Alex. Hi, Dr. Alex.
Hey, hi Shantini.
How are you today?
Hi to everybody out there. Yeah, I'm good. And you?
Great.
All right.
Okay, so just before you entered, I was asking our viewers if they knew what is the percentage of diabetic patients here in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Could you please reveal the answers for them?
Okay, and the answer is it's actually 18%, which if you round it up to 20%, that is 1 in every 5 Malaysians has got diabetes, adult Malaysians. So this is data which we took from the National Health and Morbidity Survey, which was conducted last year. This is an ongoing project from the Ministry of Health, which tracks how unhealthy or how healthy Malaysians are. And yeah, the data from last year was that 1 in 5 adult Malaysians aged above 18 years old have got diabetes. Now, if you translate that into absolute numbers, that's actually 3.9 million Malaysians with diabetes, and that really is a very worrying figure. Now, what I want to further say about is the trend for diabetes from 2011 to 2019. And what you actually see here is, for as long as the NHMS has been done, Shantini, the results keep going up and up and up and up, right? We started off, I think, as 1 in 10 Malaysians having diabetes. Then after a while, it became 1 in 9, 1 in 7, 1 in 6. And now this latest trend is that it's 1 in 5, and you can see the numbers going up and up. What is also scary, Shantini, is that if you see there in the blue circles, is the number of people who are known to have diabetes, right? Now, that comes out as about 9.4%, but below that, right, in the light blue circles, what you have is number of people who have diabetes, but they didn't know about it until they were tested as part of this program. So there is actually a lot of people who don't know that they have diabetes. Almost half of people in Malaysia with diabetes, they don't know they have a diabetes. And that to me is really worrying, because if you don't even know you have an illness, if you don't even know you have diabetes, you cannot get treatment, you cannot change your lifestyle, you cannot go and see a doctor. And what this then has a knock-on effect, you will then develop the complications of diabetes. So this is really something which is really, really worrying to me as a doctor. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the prevalence by age groups. And so the prevalence by age groups, you will look here, you can roughly divide this bar chart into half. What I mean by that is, if you look at the people who are aged 50 and above, so 50 to 59, 60 to 69, obviously there are a lot of people with diabetes, Shantini. Okay, this is an age group that is really when the diabetes starts to come out a lot. However, you know, this is also the age group where most people will realize, hey, I'm older already, my hair is turning whiter, you know, my skin is getting more wrinkles. So, of course, your internal organs as well, your pancreas, your liver will be older and will also be at higher risk of developing diabetes. And so many people who are age 50 and above, I know that they will go out and get tested for diabetes. But what worries me is the other half of the graph, where people aged below 50, okay, they also actually have diabetes as well. And many of them, in fact, the more number of them, and if you see here in light blue, they have diabetes but they didn't know. So when you have a disease which is as common as 1 in 5 in our population, right, don't assume that just because you're less than the age of 50 that you don't have it. You do need to go and get tested.
Very true, very true. These numbers are indeed very worrying. So if you have any of your friends or family members who may have higher chances of developing diabetes or pre-diabetes, do let them know about this live stream right now, because we will be sharing many important infos and tips on managing pre-diabetes. So doctor, I think Malaysians have a general knowledge about diabetes itself. But for them to know about its occurrence, whether they have it or not, of course, the awareness is just not quite there. And even more so when we are talking about pre-diabetes. So, being an expert here, could you just explain to our curious viewers here what pre-diabetes is all about?
Yeah, so Shantini, the way that I explain to my patients when they ask me about diabetes is that diabetes and pre-diabetes is like diabetes is when you're already married to the diabetes. Okay, it's there already, signed certificate, you know, you can have children if you want to. Okay, but pre-diabetes is something like a girlfriend-boyfriend stage. It's a pre-stage. And it's actually a lot more common than you think. Now, what you actually see in front of you now is the diagnostic values for pre-diabetes, meaning cut-off points. So you have a high sugar, but it doesn't quite qualify you to be called as having diabetes yet. Okay, so that's when we call it a pre-diabetes stage. This is the girlfriend-boyfriend stage. It's not as serious as being married, but there's this girlfriend-boyfriend already, fiancé already. And if you don't do something about it, guess what? In the years to come, you will be married to the diabetes, okay? So I know there's a lot of figures, there's a lot of categories here, a lot of boxes to go through, but let me just explain to you sort of box by box. Now, the first one is fasting plasma glucose. What that means is that the doctor has just used you as a fasting blood test to diagnose whether you have diabetes or pre-diabetes. This is when you fast overnight, you don't take anything, then you go to the doctor's clinic or the lab or the pharmacy and get yourself tested. Okay, and then that number is high, and if it's above 6.9, it's above 7, you have diabetes. But if it's above 6.1, between 6.1 to 6.9, you have pre-diabetes. The next one is this thing called 2-hour OGTT. 2-hour OGTT is basically a sugar drink test. The doctor will ask you to do a sugar drink test. You drink this very sweet drink, and then after that, you will actually have a blood test to see whether or not you have either diabetes or pre-diabetes. And then the third one is, of course, your hemoglobin A1C. It's an average of what your glucose is over the past 3 months, and the doctor can just do that without you fasting, without doing the sugar drink. Okay, and in that way, we can also categorize whether somebody has diabetes or pre-diabetes.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, Dr. Alex. But we have a question from one of our viewers, from Flavia Net.
Yep.
She's asking if fasting and random blood sugar, is it different or is it the same?
No, it's different. Thank you for that question, Flavia Net. Right. So what happened is fasting lah. You absolutely didn't eat, you puasa, then you go to the hospital or to the clinic or to the pharmacy and you get your blood test done. Puasa blood test, right?
True.
Okay. Random means that you didn't fast. You didn't make any special effort to puasa or whatever it is. Then you went and did your blood test. So those are the differences, and there are different categorizations and different cutoff marks for pre-diabetes, whether you're fasting or random. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Alex, for your answer. And back to our topic. So now we know pre-diabetes is basically a condition where your sugar levels are high, but not high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
So what causes pre-diabetes then? Is the causes of pre-diabetes the same as diabetes?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is you have to sort of understand that it's actually a spectrum and it's actually something continuous. You don't overnight develop diabetes. It's not like today, you know, your sugar is not high. Tomorrow when you woke up, it suddenly decided, oh, you have turned 50 years old, happy birthday, and by the way, here's your free gift, diabetes, right? It's a continuous thing. And your sugar will go from 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. It's not that it just jumps overnight to
Gradually,
some high figure. So that pre-diabetes is actually a warning to you already that you're on your way towards diabetes. It's a girlfriend, boyfriend already. The next stage is fiance already. Then you're having engagement party. And then one day you'll find that, oops, I am married to the diabetes. So it's all basically part of the same process, except it's earlier on.
Okay. So earlier we were talking about how Malaysians are unaware about the occurrence of diabetes. Does this situation apply to pre-diabetes as well?
Yeah, I think it applies even more, right? Many people, know about pre-diabetes, right? Ini penir, right? Kencing manis, or timliu, right? But pre-diabetes, perhaps not so much. But this is something that we do need to be aware of as well, because you can actually do something, right? It's not as though, oh, why should I know about it because I can't do something. You can actually do something. And let me show you some figures for the prevalence of pre-diabetes. So 1 in 6 adults in Malaysia has got this thing called impaired glucose tolerance. It's one of the categories of pre-diabetes which you diagnose after a sugar drink test, right? So definitely this is not a small number. 1 in 6 is also not a small number. And this is an expected, you will expect this number to actually increase as well over time, right? As our population goes more and more, right? We will have more and more Malaysians, and we have Malaysians who live for longer now. Our life expectancy is going to be higher and higher and higher. We will expect to see more people with pre-diabetes and diabetes as well. So definitely be on the watch out if you're watching this. If you haven't gone to get tested what your glucose is, you should go and get tested.
Yeah. So when you're telling me these numbers, right, doctor, it's actually very relatable in a pharmacy setting as well. You know, we have customers who randomly comes in to do a random blood glucose check.
Yeah.
And it's quite often that we see that these readings are in the pre-diabetic range. But to my surprise, they think this is normal because it's just not as high as diabetic values yet. So it takes a lot of educating and counseling to actually explain to them about the seriousness of the condition and its preventive measures. And since the prevalence is quite serious, right? Are there any symptoms that one can look out for to know if they are having pre-diabetes or not?
No, unfortunately, there are no symptoms. That's the thing. It's not like diabetes when it's very high, you keep visiting the toilet, right? Your wounds heal slowly, right? There are no symptoms for prediabetes, and you really have to get yourself checked by a blood test in order to find out whether you have prediabetes or not.
Okay, I agree with you there. And okay, so right now, what I think our viewers will have running in their mind is basically, will they get it? So is there any specific pattern or risk factors that can increase the likelihood of a person to develop prediabetes?
Okay, so I think I'm going to show you now on screen some screening and risk factors for prediabetes. But let me just say, Shantini, when you have a population where 1 in 5 people have diabetes, right? One of the risk factors for prediabetes is being Malaysian. Okay. No, in all seriousness, prediabetes is something that we do need to test for. Now, here are some things that even make you want to test even more. One is that if you're overweight or obese, right? This is a big risk factor for diabetes and prediabetes. The second is if you have a family history of diabetes, your father has it, your mother has it. If both sides have it, even more reason you should go and get tested. If you have a history of having diabetes when you were pregnant, something which we call gestational diabetes, this is another warning sign that in future you may get either prediabetes or diabetes as well. If you have other unhealthy factors in your life, such as high blood pressure, such as high cholesterol, such as gout, for example, these are also diseases that are associated with diabetes and usually come as a package deal, right? This is the unhappy meal. Right?
Yeah.
Some people, everyone has heard of Happy Meal. This is an unhappy meal, right? Where you get high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and you get prediabetes for free. So these are some of the risk factors that if you know that you have these things, you have to go and get tested.
Okay, so we have a question from a viewer, Miss Eileen Key. How do I know if I have? Yearly checkup will do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would recommend as a beginning if you are Malaysian, right? And if you don't have any other risk factors, then yes, a yearly blood test will be fine. If, however, you have other risks, for example, you are pregnant, okay, then you may need to actually test a bit more often. If you suddenly, within a 1-year period, from year to year, you do your annual check, and then halfway through that 1 year, you develop high blood pressure, for example, your doctor has noted, then at that point, you might want to take the opportunity to check as well. So there's no hard and fast rule. 1 year would be a good timing, like between 1 year and the next year, do it at least once a year. But if in the middle of that year, you find out something different about your health, then it might be a good time to check as well.
Thank you, Dr. Alex. And there's another question from Jenny Tong. Hi, Dr. Alex. Will the dawn phenomenon affect the fasting blood sugar? How is this different from an 8 hours fasting, not overnight?
All right, so the dawn phenomenon generally is something that we tend to associate with people who already have diabetes. So you see what happens when you have diabetes, it's not just about eating and makaning and your sugar goes high. When you have diabetes, what I explain to many of my patients is that your sugar can float upwards even without you makaning, even overnight. So this is kind of like what they call a dawn phenomenon. It's basically when you have diabetes, your liver, which usually stores sugar overnight for you to use. Because when you sleep, you still need to use sugar. When you sleep, your heart still needs to beat, you still need to dream, your lungs still need to breathe, and you will need a little bit of sugar which your liver will actually release overnight. However, when you have this condition called diabetes, your liver just releases too much sugar, right? The mechanism to control the amount of sugar coming out is actually broken, and your sugar will actually float up overnight, something which they call this dawn phenomenon. So therefore, yes, when you check your glucose overnight and it's fasting, you didn't eat a whole night and it's high, that's because you have diabetes or pre-diabetes. So that is what the dawn phenomenon is. And if you do have pre-diabetes and diabetes, your figures will actually be higher than a normal person's.
Okay, thank you for the explanation, doctor. There's another question from Miss Kaushalya. How about drinking a cup of coffee or tea every day? Will that cause diabetes?
I hope not, because in my cup there's coffee. Okay, but it is kopi o kosong to be very honest. There is absolutely no sugar in this. No, so coffee and tea, they won't cause diabetes. Okay, Diabetes, as I said before, there is a genetic component to it, right? There is, if your father has it, if your mother has it, okay? There is an overweight and obesity component to it. So if you drink your tea and coffee without sugar, then you should not grow fat. If you should not grow fat, then you should not develop diabetes, okay? But obviously, it's not just about tea and coffee, whether you have sugar in your drinks or not. There is also the fact that you need to look at your family history and your overall health in general.
No. Okay. There's another question from Ziyuan Tan. Any particular fruits that should be avoided for a pre-diabetic patient?
Okay, so this is another important question. So fruits in general, when I advise my patients, you can eat what fruits you like, right? And that actually includes, even you'll be surprised, durian. The question is how much,
True.
right? So it's not just about you cannot eat A, B, and C, but you can eat D, E, and F. The question is how much, and everything needs to be controlled in portion sizes. Now, you need to go and see a dietitian. So, but just general advice, having a banana, right? Just a normal small banana like this big, and not your big, Filipino or European bananas, right? Not those pisang tanduk. Having one portion of fruits per meal is actually acceptable and recommended by the our local guidelines. Having a small apple, not a big gigantic apple per meal, is actually acceptable. So it's about your portion sizes rather than what you can and cannot eat.
Understand. Okay, another question from Catherine Wong. My last glucose
Was 5.9 and then she didn't manage to do it because of COVID-19. Yeah, this COVID-19 sucks. Can we get over it quickly, please? No, yeah, so if the last one was 5.9, you do need to actually be aware and take some action already. You don't need to take action yet, but you do need to be aware. If you have gotten a bit more unhealthy during this movement control order, MCO, as many patients have, then perhaps you do need to check it again. If not, then that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, moving on to our topic. I think most people have the perception that the word pre in pre-diabetes doesn't sound as serious as diabetes itself.
Yeah.
But don't let the word pre fool you, because actually having pre-diabetes can also increase your chances of developing major health risks. So, Dr. Alex, can you just explain to our viewers here on the potential consequences or complications that may arise from pre-diabetes?
Sure. So, if you look on the screen now, right, you have got a 7 in 10 chance of developing full-blown diabetes if you have pre-diabetes. The reason why this category was created was it's always better to be aware early rather than later. It's always better to be aware before the actual thing comes in. So when you have pre-diabetes, you have a 7 in 10 chance, 70% chance that you will convert to full-blown diabetes. And we all know that diabetes is not good. It leads to heart problems, it leads to stroke, it leads to amputations, blindness. And guess what? When you have pre-diabetes, already your risk at that period of time, this girlfriend-boyfriend period, all right, it's not innocent. It's not just like, it's already a signal of things to come, of an intention to come, right? So if you want to look at some numbers, your risk for cardiovascular disease, which is heart disease, has actually increased by 18 to 20% compared to someone who doesn't have pre-diabetes. Your risk of cerebrovascular disease, which is stroke, is 17 to 20% compared to somebody who doesn't have pre-diabetes. You have an increased risk of eye disease, you have an increased risk of kidney disease, you have an increased risk of nerve disease as well. And, here's the big thing. Death, dying, okay? You have an increased risk of dying. Okay, and that is a serious complication compared to someone who doesn't have pre-diabetes. You have a between 13 to 32% increase of death. So, this is not something which is just a condition. I mean, it's not like you're fully qualified as diabetes, but, having a pre, you're already in some danger, increased risk of danger. You do need to be aware and you do need to take action for it.
Definitely, indeed. Okay. this is something definitely we need to worry about, and it's exactly why it's important to carry out self-monitoring of blood glucose. Basically, when you frequently check on your blood glucose levels, it gives us an idea on how to adjust our diet, how to adjust our physical activity frequency so that we get better glycemic control. And now, I'm sure after understanding these deadly consequences of prediabetes, our viewers here would want to know, is there any way of preventing from being diagnosed with prediabetes? Can you share some of the important steps to reduce this?
Yes. So thank goodness we can prevent. Okay. And the first step to all prevention is you need to own it. You need to take it and look after yourself. Lifestyle change. Lifestyle change, basically a big component is you need to lose weight. Between 5 to 10% weight loss will actually help a lot, right? So if you are overweight and obese, losing weight by exercise, losing weight by jagaing what you makan, right, will actually help a great deal. Reducing your simple sugar intake as well. What it means is that reducing the intake of sugar, pure sugars that are very quickly absorbed into your bloodstream, will also help. It will stress your body less if you took more complex carbohydrates rather than simple sugars. Reducing your fat intake, which will of course translate to a reduction in your caloric intake and the amount of weight that you gain, right? These are all things which are proven and recommended for preventing somebody who has pre-diabetes converting into pure diabetes. Now, on the other flip side of your makaning, okay, is your energy expenditure, meaning your exercise, the amount of physical activity that you do. Now, it's recommended, of course, 30 minutes of exercise 5 to 7 times a week. What I also tell a lot of my patients is try to integrate physical activity into your daily life. So don't use the lift, use the stairs, right? Park further away from the entrance to in the car park to the entrance of your shopping mall so that you have to walk further, right? So these are other ways that you can slowly try to integrate, make yourself more healthy, because it can actually help you to prevent yourself from getting into diabetes, right? Why this pre-diabetes was initiated and created is to sort of say that, look, you are in a little bit of trouble already, right? You have an increased risk, but the thing is you can do something to retard, to slow down and prevent yourself from going into diabetes.
Definitely. And we've got one more question from one of our viewers, Josephine. We will have higher chances of having diabetes if one of our parents is a diabetic patient?
Yes, you will unfortunately have a higher chance. It's like sort of saying, if my parents are both short, what are my chances of being short, right? It's a genetic trait. So thankfully, if say, for example, if one parent is tall and one parent is short, all right, who are you going to follow, right? If one parent has big eyes and one parent has small eyes, who are you going to follow? There is always that slightly increased risk.
Okay, let's see if we have any more comments or questions. Okay, from Miss Kaushalya, how if I take sugar-free drinks in long term? Is that safe? Will that prevent diabetes?
Yeah, so in general, taking less sugar, not just in your drinks, but less sugar in your diet, that will help overall, especially if it's simple sugars and added sugars. So that will help, but of course, you do need to look at what else you're replacing it with. If you're replacing sugar-free drinks with alcohol, then maybe that's not recommendable. But yeah, that will help, because much of our sweetened beverages, Coca-Cola, fruit juices, they are abnormally sweet. They have a very high glucose concentration in one small little cup of drink, and so therefore that will be a stress on your internal system, your pancreas, your liver as well. So definitely cutting out sugars, all these extra sugars from your drinks, it will help.
Okay, next question from Miss Sindhu Subramaniam. Hi doctor, is it common getting hypoglycemia after taking insulin?
Okay, hi Sindhu. Yeah, so there is a risk of patients who are taking certain medications, for example, insulin and certain types of tablets. If you overdose on those medications, then one of the side effects is actually hypoglycemia, meaning low blood sugar. right? And what happens is that you have to be very careful when you use these types of medications. Usually these types of medications are paired together with food, for example, and you can't take too high a dose. So your doctor, you need to see your doctor to adjust the dose of it, which is just right for you. Because too much, you might have this problem of too low sugar, hypoglycemia. But of course, if too little of that medication, your sugar may still remain high.
That's right. Okay, next question from Flavia Nat. Is 3-in-1 drinks something that can lead to prediabetes as well?
Yeah, so one thing I don't like about 3-in-1 drinks is that you cannot control the amount of sugar and the amount of calories
Very
inside
true,
that
yeah,
drink,
yeah.
right? It is already given to you, right? It's already as a package. If you want to pull out some of the sugar, also cannot,
Yeah.
okay? So it's not that it will directly lead to it, but it is extra sugar in your diet, which is
Definitely.
unnecessary. So therefore, if you can, you bancho your own kopi, you make your own tea without adding the sugar, that would be the best.
Okay. One more question from Wenny Wong Chiu Woon. Both parents have diabetic. Fasting blood glucose in the morning after 12 hours is consistently between 6 to 7 millimole, but random blood glucose reading is about 5 to 6 millimole per liter after meal. Last HbA1c was 5.3 millimole per liter. Is this considered to be pre-diabetic? Do they need a further consult from a doctor or further advice for treatment?
Yeah, so definitely that fasting glucose reading, there's a few things, all right? So thank you very much, Venny. It's a very long and detailed question for yourself. And, thank you for sharing your health condition. But it's a very, so you need to think about multiple factors. The fact that both your parents have diabetes already is something that means that you have a high chance of developing it. So you do need to make sure that you try your very best. You can't change your parents, Benny. Your father is your father, your mother is your mother. You can't change, right? Okay. But what you can change is your lifestyle. What you can change is what you makan. What you can change is the amount of exercise that you do. And it's really good because I can actually see that you're actually taking an interest in your health. You're actually going out to check and you are able to provide all these figures to your doctor and to know for yourself already. So that between 6 to 7 fasting is, to be quite honest, a pre-diabetes kind of range. You do need to be careful with what you eat. You do need to try to be as healthy as possible in terms of your diet, as well as get some physical activity and exercise and continue doing what you're doing already. Continue monitoring your readings. Monitor as well all your blood pressure as well, your cholesterol, because you know that it may come in a package. So it's good that you're already taking action. It's good that you're already aware. So maybe if you're born in the next life, maybe you choose parents without diabetes, then no need to monitor so much. No, just kidding.
Okay, so moving on to our topic again, Dr. Alex, we were talking about lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
So basically, to reduce sugar intake was one of your points.
Yep.
There's one of the very important points. So I think we could choose healthier snacking options because I think that's where we tend to indulge in sugary food. So to have healthier snacking options, basically you can have natural yogurt or you can have almonds or even veggies, because fibers keep you full for a longer time and it prevents you from having sugar cravings. So, and for those busy working Malaysians, you could actually try meal prepping. You can control what you consume throughout the week. So this can actually reduce your risk of developing diabetes or even pre-diabetes. And however, we know Malaysia has the highest diabetic rate across countries in the Southeast Asia. So this already tells us as Malaysians, we need to put in extra effort in terms of preventing ourselves from being diagnosed with diabetes altogether. So, Dr. Alex, are there any medications or even programs that can help to prevent or delay the risks of prediabetes?
Yeah, so that's why, great question. So let me introduce you to the Diabetes Prevention Program, because this was the key study. This is a key study which informs us that pre-diabetes is something that you can do something about, that you can either take medications or you can actually take lifestyle changes to prevent you from going into diabetes. So let me introduce this. What they did was they took people who have pre-diabetes and they split them up into three groups. The first group, they told them you got to exercise and you got to diet really, really hard and make sure you lose some weight, all right? and we will be monitoring this. The second group was given medications and said, look, take this medication, all right, it will help you, and we will be monitoring whether you convert from pre-diabetes to diabetes. The third group, which, because this is a scientific study, they were given placebo pills. Basically, placebo pills does not contain any active drug. It's just a kosong pill, but they had to do it to just show that if you don't do anything, we want to know what happens. So in these pre-diabetes patients, they were divided into three categories. The first category is lifestyle intervention, diet and exercise. The second category is medication, and the third category is just do whatever you were doing. We are pretending to give you medication, but it's actually not medication. Now, what did this find? Okay, what did the diabetes prevention program find? So if you look at the next slide, the next infographic, you will actually find that patients who were on lifestyle change and who are on medication, right, they had less conversion to diabetes compared to the patients who didn't do anything at all, right? So this diabetes prevention program, which doctors know as DPP, I call it don't play.
Very
all right?
clever. Yeah.
Because if you play, you will have more risk and more chances of converting into diabetes. If, however, you took note that you are pre-diabetes and you took medications to prevent, or you went into intensive lifestyle, right? You lost weight, you exercise, you control your makan, it made a difference. And you can actually see that the rate of conversion after 4 years, placebo is in the gray line on top. That is the most number of people, meaning that the people who didn't do anything, where there was no difference to them, right, they had the highest rate of conversion over to diabetes. Those who were taking medication was less, and those with the lifestyle was even less. So if you want to know, at 4 years, right, people who were on medication had a 31% lower risk of converting over to diabetes from pre-diabetes.
Yeah, okay. Now I think some of our viewers here might not really understand what does these medications actually do. Could you explain further on it and how it actually helps to benefit the patients on these medications?
Yeah, so medications, they work. Okay, I'll be very, very sort of honest with you, right? What happens is you really, really do need to put a lot of effort in for pre-diabetes to prevent yourself from going into diabetes. And I think that should always be the first and the foremost, right? You must take responsibility and look after yourself. So what you eat, what you do, right? How much exercise you do, how you jaga yourself, how you monitor yourself, you really do need to put in the effort, and that would be the number one way that I would recommend, that guidelines also recommend, okay? Now, if, for example, there are conditions, there are circumstances that prevent you, movement control order, for example, all right, gym closed already, for example, okay, I'm stuck at home and the only food that I can get is from Food Panda and Grab, okay, very realistic scenario, right? Thankfully, there are medications which can help. Now, and these medications, you saw just now the DPP 4-year data. Now let me show you the DPP OS, which is 15-year data. And these medications, right, was actually proven to reduce the rate of conversion to diabetes over not just 4 years, but over 15 years as well. So there are actually long-term benefits to taking these medications. You can argue that it doesn't stop it 100%, but yet it does retard it at least. It does help to slow down and prevent it at least from occurring. And this is a very long-term study, over 15 years, right? The Diabetes Prevention Program outcome study, okay? So DPP, don't play. These medications, they do work.
Okay, doctor. Okay, so we've got a few questions from our viewers. First one from Eileen Key. How to know whether a diabetic patient is getting sufficient sugar? My grandma has diabetic, but she has fainted before because of low sugar level. Okay,
so generally there are some signs that your grandma may have when her sugar starts to go down. If you see that she's becoming a bit tired, so fainting is like the end already, like super low already. But as she's going lower and lower, you might notice that she looks a bit tired. She might complain that she's a bit giddy or dizzy. She might start to have cold sweats, or you might see that she's shaking a little bit. So these are some of the signs. Now, how do you prevent that? Now, these low sugars are usually a side effect of the medications that they take for diabetes. So you do need to go back and see your doctor and ask him to adjust the dose of that medication lower. The second thing is, of course, if she has been fasting or not eating enough. All right. So you need to make sure that if the medication has already muscled, if grandma has already taken the tablet or taken the insulin, you do need to make sure that the amount of food matches with the amount of medications that she has taken. So that is one of the things about low blood sugar.
Okay, that was a clear explanation. Moving on to our next question from Lim Song Chai. Should we take medication if diagnosed as pre-diabetic, or is it reversible?
Right, so that's a great question, Lim Song Chai. So as I showed you before, this DPP study showed us that you can reduce the rate of conversion over into diabetes. Should you take medication? Now, to be quite honest, this is a very personal preference amongst many of my patients. Some of my patients are very keen to actually take medications because yes, there is a clear benefit. Your conversion over to diabetes means that on your insurance form, you have to write down that you have diabetes, right?
True.
Your insurance premium is going to go up, number one. Number two, never mind the insurance, your risk of multiple other diseases. The reason why we worry about diabetes, why we look at the numbers of the sugar is because the higher these numbers go, the longer you have these high numbers within the diabetes range, the more chances you have of all sorts of very bad complications, blindness, amputation, heart disease, stroke, right, kidney failure and dialysis. So should you take medication? It's a personal thing, but as a doctor, I would also recommend it because it does help to prevent you from converting over into diabetes. But I do understand there are many patients who decline, who sort of say that I don't want at the moment. Well, if you're going to do that, then you have to be very intensive with your lifestyle control.
Correct.
You do really need to lose weight. You do really need to jaga your makan. You do really need to put in the exercise, and you do really need to monitor, just in case you cross over into the border of diabetes.
Sure. Okay, next question from Claire Natalie. Hi doctor, can we take metformin if we are pre-diabetic or only after you're diabetic?
Right, you really identified, that's a great question, Claire, because the DPP study actually used metformin, right, as the medication to help to prevent diabetes. So there is actually evidence, it has actually been studied and is known, right, in DPP, that you can prevent diabetes, you can retard and delay diabetes using metformin. Not every anti-diabetic medication has got this kind of proven effect, but metformin is definitely clearly one of them.
Okay, next question from J. Dinesh. A question from my mom. People with diabetes are prone to infection. Is this true or false?
Yes, so this is true, but let me clarify my answer. Whenever you have a high glucose, this high glucose makes your immune system a little bit weaker. That's why people with diabetes, if it's not controlled, so this is the thing, if it is not under control, their diabetes is super high, they have readings of like 15, 16, 20, then yes, they are at higher risk of all types of infections.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Moving on, question from Joseph Gerard. Is it true that taking artificial sweeteners is also not good in long term because they contain aspartame?
Yeah, so again, this is, which is more evil, the real sugar or the fake sugar?
Yeah.
I would say the answer is, the good one is no sugar at all, if you can afford it. Now, if you still need to use artificial sugars to give you that sugar kick, that sugar feeling, you can argue that in your own true self, you have not actually been able to sort of wean yourself off a sugar addiction, so to speak. Now, as to whether aspartame is actually bad for your health in the long term, there are some studies which suggest yes, there are some studies which suggest no. So again, unclear. But what is clear to me is that I would rather that you take fake sugar than large amounts of the real sugar in itself.
Okay, next question from Josephine. She's asking, does it increase the risk of getting colon cancer as a diabetic patient, and will it always cause constipation problems?
Right, so this is again very multifactorial. There are many things at play here. Now, if you're obese and overweight, obviously your risk of having diabetes is higher. However, if you're obese and overweight, you are actually also at risk of getting colon cancer in itself, right? So that is one thing which is sort of all interplayed to sort of say that the colon cancer and diabetes, yes, there is that link, but that link comes from the fact that you're obese and overweight, right? Now, constipation, again, not everybody who has constipation will end up getting colon cancer. Constipation, of course, is very uncomfortable, and you do need to seek relief from that. But the link between constipation and colon cancer is not such actually a clear one. Now, in the past, of course, they sort of said that a high fiber diet can help to prevent colon cancer, but that was an actually very early medical belief, and it's not actually quite true nowadays. So what about diabetes and constipation? Yes, to a certain extent. If you have such bad diabetes that the nerves controlling your colon, your bowels are actually affected, you can actually get constipation as a result of it. Sometimes if your sugar is very high, you have very concentrated and thick blood, then of course being dehydrated can make you more prone to constipation as well. So there's no sort of real clear answer that I can give to it, but what I can give to you is how all these things are interlinked and how it actually can sort of affect your health.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for all your explanation, doctor. So moving on, I still think that the biggest problem here is that we Malaysian, we are surrounded by world-class food that's really delicious, but unfortunately they are high in carbs, sugars and fats. So of course it's yummy, but when it's consumed in higher amounts, it causes a lot of harmful effects to our health. So, and it's definitely not an easy task to implement lifestyle changes. I think people naturally prefer to stay in their comfort zones where they might not be practicing healthy eating habits or active lifestyle. So they would find it very difficult to have a starting point to have a healthier lifestyle. So do you have any advice for these group of people who find it very challenging to start on a healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, so what you do is when the MCO is over, you buy a plane ticket to fly to somewhere where the food is horrible. No, okay. So, so the thing about human beings, right? You need to know what you value. You really need to know what you value, to me, okay? And it's a choice. It is a clear-cut choice. If you value your health, right, you will naturally pursue behaviors that value your health, right? If you really think that I want to remain healthy, I want to live long, I don't want to get a stroke, I don't want to have a heart attack, then these are things that will follow naturally, okay? If you don't want to invest in it, then it's a choice, right? Now, on top of that, there is another aspect to it as well. We do talk about choice, and when you are aware, when you are pushing towards a healthy goal, etc., that's fine. But sometimes what I want to make people aware of is that eating is a necessity in life. You need calories for your body to work, right? If you don't consume enough calories, you will be tired, your body will slowly break down, your systems will not be able to function properly. The problem is that we don't necessarily eat according to calories. We don't necessarily eat according to our stomach. We usually eat with our eyes and our brain, okay? Much of eating has been hacked in a way in that eating is meant to give a human being, an animal, right, an organism enough energy to survive and perform and function. And if we were able to eat the exact amount that we needed on a daily basis to survive and function, that's fine. There will be no diabetes, honestly, right? However, food has become so delicious over time. Chefs have become so much more skillful. Food has become cheaper, much more widely available, and much more attractive. That's the thing here, right? And you have companies that actually invest in making food more attractive, right? Your fast food companies invest large amounts of money to advertise and make things more appealing to you, right? And it's not just the fast food companies. People who make food in general have become more skillful at it. So therefore, sort of comes in and we look at food and we don't eat for calories, we don't eat to make our stomach full necessarily. Sometimes we eat because of the attraction of it. We eat with our brain, with our eyes. We eat socially as well. If I want to be your friend, Shantini, we go and eat together lah. That's the Malaysian thing to do. We eat because we're Malaysian, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, but you need to take a step back and be aware and have the knowledge and also have the desire to look after yourself. Not telling you not to eat at all, right? It's your birthday, it's Chinese New Year, it's Deepavali, it's Christmas.
Merry
Christmas, Shantini.
Merry Christmas.
Right? Yes, there are these cultural associations, and if we didn't eat, we will feel depressed, etc. But you do need to do so in moderation. You do need to do so that everything that you consume, etc., there may be a knock-on effect. And so if you start to value something, I do believe that you can actually make a difference, but you have to start valuing it in yourself.
Definitely. Okay. Are there any tools that people can use to find out what is their risk in developing diabetes? Say.
Right, so there are some tools, and if you actually share the QR code now, right, there is this online risk calculator. If you scan this QR code, you can actually answer a few questions, and then the calculator will actually calculate out for you what is your risk should you actually go and get tested. So if you, for example, have both parents having diabetes, if you're obese, etc., so therefore this is one of the aspects to it, which will be calculated in, and therefore it will give you a figure as to what is your risk of developing pre-diabetes.
So viewers, don't forget to scan that QR code over there and find out your risk right now. So let's see if there's any other questions from our viewers. Okay, there's one from Z Yuan Tan. For pre-diabetic patients, will skipping dinner or taking a light dinner speed up diabetes?
Okay, so that's a really interesting question, Z Yuan. Okay, now I'm not sure if you meant speed up or slow down. Okay, because what happens is there is, of course, this great big rage of IF now, intermittent fasting, and part of it is actually a great big focus on not eating dinner. Now, there is some health science behind that. There are actually studies which actually look at the timing of your meals. And in fact, these studies are scientific. They've been published in journals, but you can tell, you can ask all the old wives' stories, right, of having breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and then dinner like a pauper, meaning that you have big breakfast, smaller lunch, and almost zero dinner. And that actually has been shown to help people to, number one, lose weight, and so therefore prevent and limit diabetes. The science behind that is that your body has these natural mechanisms where it's a lot more active during the day. So if you eat early in the day, you burn up all your calories and your sugars during the daytime. But as you go towards the nighttime, your hormone levels and your activity levels, your metabolism levels are starting to prepare you to sleep and rest and repair. Now, you do still need some calories to sleep and rest and repair. But if you overdo dinner, right, then this is all going to be extra. And so therefore may not be, helpful to your health overall. So therefore, yeah, there is some science behind it. But of course, if your body can't take it, if you don't eat dinner and you end up, feeling hungry and then raiding the fridge and calling for grab food in the middle of the night, then again, it's also not healthy. So you do need to find a balance there as well.
Sure. So the next question is from Eileen Key. What if I consume health supplements? But as Ms. Shantini said, typical Malaysian loves their food. Taking more health supplement can reduce the risk of getting pre-diabetes?
Right, so health supplements, medications. Now, Eileen, that is a good question, and this is where the balance comes in. There are actually guidelines, right? Malaysian guidelines, American guidelines, Canadian guidelines, which actually said that, look, we do need to pay attention to our diet, right? If, however, we understand humans are humans, Malaysians are Malaysians, right? Sometimes you'll be very focused, yes, I want to diet, but sometimes you switch off and you relax and you be a Malaysian. So there are actually guidelines, and you'll see the infographic here that pharmacological intervention for the prevention of diabetes is generally recommended if lifestyle is not enough, right? So therefore, health supplements, many of them are actually not proven, but medications such as metformin are actually generally proven to prevent diabetes. So if you want to spend your money, don't spend it on supplements, spend it on something which is actually proven, i.e. metformin. There are other medications, for example, acarbose, right, not generally widely used, which have been shown and proven to help prevent diabetes. So I reiterate again, the first and foremost, why I talk so much about eating, why I talk so much about exercise, is you need to own it. You need to own your own body and take care of yourself and not just rely on a pill. But if you need help beyond that, then there are pills which are proven to help. And so therefore, go ahead, speak to your doctor about taking it.
Thank you, doctor. Okay, next question from Miss Sindhu. Doctor, is there any test for a genetic test if we have strong family history of diabetes?
Yeah, there are genetic tests out there, but they're generally just used for research purposes. And let me tell you something, no matter what the genetic test says, right, just keep it very simple, just keep it very practical. If you have got strong family history, go and get tested on a regular basis. Don't rely just on the genetic test alone. It's like sort of saying, look, is there any genetic test that tells me whether I'm going to grow tall when I'm an adult? Is there any genetic test which will tell me whether I'm going to have early balding, I'll be botak before the age of 40? Well, look at your father. If your father was botak before the age of 40, that is stronger than what any genetic test will actually tell you, right? So there are tests, but generally it's not available by just walking to a clinic and asking for it. These are usually research-based, and there are actually a large number of genes to look for. There are too many genes to look for diabetes. So to me, the more important thing is very cheap and very easy. Look at your father, look at your mother, then look at yourself.
Okay. Next question from Josephine. Prolonged consumption of diabetic medication, will that make us dependent on it? And will it reduce its effectiveness? Do we need to step up to higher dose as we age?
Okay, so that is a great question, Josephine Yu. And let me say that you need to look at it from a slightly different way. It is generally true that as you grow older, you will require a greater and greater amount of medication, right? And that's not because you're becoming more dependent on it. That's because you're older. I'm so sorry. So far in medical science, there is no medicine that makes you younger, Josephine Yu. Okay? Now, when you start medications at, say, the age of 50, after taking it for 10 years, you might kind of say, oh, this medicine not effective anymore. Well, the reason is after 10 years, you're 60 years old, right? You have more white hair, you have more wrinkled skin, you have worse eyesight. And so the same goes for your internal organs. Your liver and your pancreas are 10 years older. And so therefore, you may need extra medication to help keep your glucose level under control. It's not that we're purposely trying to give you a higher and higher dose. What we want to do is prevent you from having a high glucose, because if you have a high sugar level, it leads to problems later on, and we're trying to keep it under control. And generally, the older you become, the weaker you become, the more you will need help, right? Now, it's a matter of trying to perhaps accept the fact that as you grow older, your glasses need to become thicker and thicker, right? As you grow older, you may need one day to have a tongkat, right? Okay, so it's not that the medications become less and less effective. It's that you are getting older and older.
Very true, very true. Okay, so next question from Ziyuan Tan. Will practicing yoga help pre-diabetic patients?
Yeah, I think any form of exercise will generally help, whether it's yoga or jogging, whatever keeps you healthy, whatever helps you. Now, one of the aspects I like about yoga is the fact that there is a role of consciousness as well, right? When you practice yoga, you do have to, in a way, meditate, in a way, be conscious of your posture. And that leads to, of course, things about consciousness, because unconscious eating is something that many of us have. We are watching the
Very
TV
true.
and the amount of food that we eat. We are watching a movie, the amount of food that we eat, right? We are under stress, busy typing and doing our work on our laptop, the amount of food that we eat,
Snacks, yeah.
you didn't actually even realize. But consciousness of what we eat, yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Physical activity through yoga, swimming, etc., that is also a good thing.
Okay. Next question from Eileen Key. Does gender difference contribute to higher risk? Is it genetically transferable?
So I'm not quite sure, Eileen, what you mean. How do you transfer from being a boy to a girl, right? No. So gender difference, yes. In general, males are more unhealthy. We die younger, right? Unfortunately, no matter what you want to do, okay? So there is a gender difference. Males are going to be more prone to diabetes and high blood pressure and cholesterol problems, all right? Unfortunately, there's not much you can. Nowadays you have all these people. You have people who try and convert. But then, if you're male, you're male. If you're female, you're female. Is it genetically transferable? That's why we were talking about, right? If your father has diabetes, if your mother has diabetes, right? Then they are your father and mother. You can't change that, right?
Yeah. She continued to ask because her grandma has diabetes. But her parents, so far, they are not diagnosed with that condition, and she herself does not have it. Would the risk be eliminated for her kids, since it skipped 2 generations?
Okay, so again, Eileen, there are many, many layers to this question that I need to answer, okay? So if your grandma, when she was very old, she developed diabetes, it means that she's so old that her internal organs, her pancreas, her liver, etc., her gut, are not able to handle sugar well, and she therefore develops diabetes. Okay, so that's one aspect to it. It may be that your parents have not grown old enough for it to show, so that's one thing, right? Would it be eliminated for your kids? Remember, diabetes, there are 2 aspects of it as well. One is the fact that there's family, etc., but there's also a lifestyle. So if you have kids who grow up eating fast food, right? It doesn't matter whether father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, nenek, moyang, how many generations didn't have. But if they only eat fast food 24/7, right, 365, then they might have diabetes, right? So there is that component to it. Now you can't change your parents. You can't change who your father and mother and your grandfather, grandmother is, but you can change what you eat. So if you want your kids to be healthy, that is the one thing that you're going to have to change.
Definitely. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. Okay.
Okay.
So I think not for now. So I think it's the end of our sharing session here, Doctor. Do you have any advice which you think would benefit our viewers right now? Something, a key take-home message.
So this is the key take-home message. Don't play. DPP, right? It is serious. It is a pre-condition. You are not yet at the level of diabetes, okay? But it is that kind of like go into it, all right? You are at that fiancé stage, not yet married. The ring is not yet on the finger, but it's almost going to be there, all right? And it's not just so innocent. There are increased risks as well. So don't play, right? You do need to make sure that you have your lifestyle as well as your plus minus medications on board to prevent, okay? And you do need to monitor as well, right? You do need to check. The least is once a year, all right? More than that, if you feel that your health has deteriorated, like during MCO, you've grown fatter, go and get checked.
Yeah, I see.
I think there's another question.
Yes, I think this is the final question from Lim Song Chai. Can a skinny or an underweight person who is diabetic take metformin, as metformin may reduce weight?
Yeah, sure. So again, this is a good question. This is plus and minus, risk and benefit. Now, one of the things is that if you look at metformin, the good part of it is it can lower your sugar and your glucose. Now, some people, it is true, they may experience, right? And the keyword is may experience weight loss, a little bit of weight loss associated with the metformin as well. So you need to balance it out. Now, the good thing about metformin is there are different doses. It's not just one dose, metformin, yes or no, right? There is actually metformin, are you taking 500 milligrams, 750 milligrams, 1000 milligrams, 1500, 2000, okay? So there are all these different doses that you can adjust and take. So what you're trying to then do when you're taking metformin and you're skinny, and having diabetes, is you're hoping that the metformin will be able to control your glucose level, but also at the same time that you don't lose too much weight. Of course, the opposite is I mean, not the opposite, but of course, the weight loss is good if you're obese or overweight, then it does help. But if you're skinny, then yes, there may still be benefits from taking the metformin, and you do need to be monitored and the dose adjusted so that you don't lose too much weight.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Alex, for all the wonderful and insightful explanation that you've given us. I'm sure our viewers and myself have learned a lot today. And thank you all, our audience, for joining us in our live stream this evening.
Thank you, Shantini.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Dr. Alex. Thank you. And don't forget to like our Caring Facebook page and share this live stream to all your friends and families. Till the next time, bye-bye.
See you.